You people and your mutts bet they bite just like you." The insult dropped like gravel on marble. Outside a sunny sidewalk cafe in Atlanta, the air held still. Forks froze. One of the dogs tilted its head, but didn't growl. Officer Blevins took another step forward, one hand hovering over his taser. "Step away from the leash. We don't need aggressive breeds walking around this neighborhood." The woman didn't blink, didn't even flinch. Just stood, black baseball cap shadowing her eyes, one hand loosely holding both harnesses. The second cop, Waller scoffed. "License and registration. For the dogs too, sweetheart. Let's go." A server inside mouthed something through the window. Two teens filming nearby stopped chewing their sandwiches. "I said move," Waller barked. The woman finally spoke, voice calm. "They're not pets. They're soldiers." Blevins laughed. "Lady, I don't care if they're astronauts. You fit a description. And you're loitering with animals trained to what? Attack people like us?" She knelt down, whispered something into one dog's ear. The shepherd closest to her shifted straight in posture, turned its gaze on Blevins, ears sharp as knives. "What the hell?" Blevins stepped back. "You might want to stop moving," she said softly. "He doesn't like sudden gestures." Waller raised an eyebrow. "Is that a threat?" "No, a fact." She pulled something from her back pocket and held it up. "Military. K-9 deployment ID, black silver. Sealed. The dogs didn't bark, didn't snarl. Just stared at the men with a silence that was louder than growling." Blevins blinked. "Wait, what unit are you with?" She didn't answer. She just unzipped her jacket slightly. Embroidered tag. LT, Marion J. Brooks, USMC, retired. K-9 handler. You single quotes read ... military. Waller's voice cracked. She turned her head, just enough for the sunlight to catch her cheek. "That's what the badge says, doesn't it?" Someone from inside stepped out. "Ma'am, your table's ready. We put water down for the boys, too." She nodded, took one step toward the patio. Both dogs fell in line without command, one to her left, one to her right, perfect heel formation. Blevins took a full step back. Waller muttered, "Why didn't you say something?" She turned once more. "I don't owe you my resume just to walk my team." She walked past. The shepherds didn't even glance at the cops, but every bystander did. Blevins rubbed the back of his neck. "Are you filming?" he asked the kid. Nearby. The teen didn't answer, just zoomed in. The caption was already forming in his mind. They thought she was trouble, but her dogs knew war. Get animal control out here. I don't care if she's got medals, those dogs aren't normal. Blevins's voice hissed into his radio as he backed toward the patrol car. Still shaken. Inside the cafe, LT, Marion J. Brooks calmly sipped iced tea. Her German shepherds lying motionless at her feet, eyes scanning the sidewalk like they were still on patrol. From across the glass, Waller muttered, "What kind of civilian commands war dogs with a whisper?" Blevins fumbled with his phone. "I just ran her name. She's not just military, she's one of those handlers who trained at Langley. Black file stuff." "Then what the hell is she doing here?" Waller stormed toward the cafe entrance. The glass door clinked open. "Ma'am, I need you to step outside for more questioning." The cafe host, a young Latina woman, stepped between them. "She's a paying customer. You don't have jurisdiction inside." "Miss, you want to get involved in this?" "I already am," the host said, not flinching. "We serve her. She's a regular. You're scaring my customers." A few murmurs stirred from nearby tables. Someone angled their phone slightly higher. Marion didn't move. She placed her napkin neatly on the table, tapped both dogs on the side with one finger. They sat upright but didn't growl. "Not yet. You said I was loitering," she said calmly. "Now you're moving goalposts. Again." Blevins appeared behind Waller, holding a printed report. She was stationed in Fallujah. Led a unit that sniffed out IEDs. Canine Division. Bronze Star. Commendation for Marion cut in. That's enough. You don't get to read my history like it's a grocery receipt. The tension snapped again. A woman at a nearby table whispered, "She's a damn war hero." Waller's jaw tensed. We still need to verify the dog's licensing. For public areas. They aren't muzzled. They're not pets, Marion repeated. They're working dogs and fully certified under federal code. She reached calmly into her side bag and pulled out laminated documents, flipping them onto the table like poker cards. Silence. The dogs didn't blink. Neither did she. Then something shifted. Blevins leaned in. Why didn't you come in uniform? Marion met his eyes, voice low and sharp. Because I didn't think I'd need armor just to buy lunch. That line hit harder than anything else. Waller's hand slowly dropped from his belt. The door swung again. A young woman entered, blazer, clipboard, sharp energy. I'm from the mayor's office, she said. We received 3 complaints about possible harassment of a veteran in uniform violation of civil conduct. Who's the ranking officer here? Both cops stiffened. Marion didn't turn around. She didn't need to. The clipboard woman stepped forward. Ma'am, would you like to file an official statement? Marion finally looked up. Double quotes. No, I want to finish my tea. The mayor's rep paused, then smiled. Understood. But for the record, what's the command phrase they respond to? Marion's lips curved slightly. Justice. The dog's ears. FOICKED. Everyone froze. Even the wind outside seemed to still. The rep nodded. Noted. As the clipboard woman left, she glanced back at the officers. Next time read the badge before barking, she said. Justice. And the dogs moved. Bro, that wasn't just training. That was a military-grade menace. The video played on a loop in high-def slow motion. On one side of the screen, 2 uniformed cops flinching. On the other, a black woman sipping tea, while her dogs stood like statues. The TikTok overlay read, "When the system messes with the wrong one, Caption, she didn't bark. Her resume did. By morning, it had 3.1 million views. Meanwhile, in a corner barbershop on Sweet Auburn Avenue, yo, that's LT, Brooks. Used to see her jogging with those dogs at 5 a.m., didn't know she was that Brooks. The barber paused the clippers. That woman got 3 deployments under her belt, never said a word. Never asked for a discount either. You think the cops knew who she was? They didn't even care to ask, someone muttered, a man. Near the window scrolled Twitter. Bro, check this one. Racist cops meet Call of Duty, K9 edition. That one got 6 million views. But not every whisper was praised. At the local precinct, Captain Reeves slammed his coffee down. This thing's all over the damn internet. And now I got to the mayor's office breathing down my neck. Waller shifted uneasily in his seat. We didn't know who she was. Exactly, Reeves growled. That's the problem. You didn't ask. You didn't de-escalate. You just saw a black woman with 2 German shepherds and assumed she was a threat. Blevins folded his arms. People are acting like she's untouchable. She's trained, Reeves snapped. And you just made her the face of everything wrong with this department. Outside, a junior officer murmured to another, word. His internal affairs wants to interview everyone who's ever written her up. If she has any priors, they'll use them. Good luck, the second officer said. I heard her dogs were at the Pentagon. The Pentagon. Meanwhile, at a quiet table in the cafe, Marion sat reading a weathered paperback, her dogs lying beside her. A different server this time, young, nervous, set down her coffee with both hands. Thank you for what you did yesterday. Marion looked up. What did I do? The girl smiled nervously. You didn't flinch. Across the street, teens whispered and pointed. One held a sketch pad. Another lifted a camera. The moment was evolving. She wasn't just that woman with the dogs anymore. She was a symbol. At a local high school. Did you see the remix version? The one with the bass drop when she said, "They're soldiers"? No, this one adds captions, like Marvel style. When the dogs move, it says, "Initiating protocol, justice." One student, eyes wide, whispered, "Bro, she didn't raise her voice once." And they backed off. Back at the precinct, a memo landed on Reeves's desk. Subject: Marion Brooks, commendation and harassment inquiry due to viral footage and public interest. We are conducting a review of the officers involved and exploring an official commendation. For LT, Brooks's service and composure. Prepare statements. City Oversight Board. Reeves sat back. Oh, it's spreading all right. She escalated it, not us. You saw how close those dogs were to attacking. The words echoed inside the cramped boardroom of Precinct 14. A projector flicked through freeze frames of the viral video. Waller paused it on the image where the dog shifted formation. Look at that. Is that how normal pets behave? Captain Reeves rubbed his temples. She didn't command them to attack. But she could have. Could have doesn't. Hold up in court, Waller, Reeves said. And if you keep pressing this narrative, you're going to sound like a scared rookie blaming a woman for being calm. Blevins leaned in. She made us look weak. No, Reeves replied sharply. You did that yourselves. Across town, at City Hall, a younger staffer whispered during a press prep. They're going to try to flip this, aren't they? The older aide nodded. First step is always to call her aggressive. Then they'll say the dogs were unpredictable. But we have footage. She didn't raise her voice. Doesn't matter. They're not after the truth. They're after control. That same afternoon, Marion received a letter at her apartment door. Notice of complaint. Animal control review. Your animals have been flagged for aggressive posture in a public setting. We request a reevaluation of certification. Failure to comply may result in suspension of public handling rights. No name, no return number. Just a stamped seal. Marion held it between two fingers like it was dirty. She folded it. Set it on the kitchen counter. Didn't speak. Her dogs just watched, her ears alert, still as ever. Later that night, a knock at her door. A lawyer, young, nervous, black. Hi, my name's Alesha. I'm with the Georgia Veterans Legal Defense Network. Marion raised an eyebrow. I didn't call anyone. I know. We called you. Someone from your old unit submitted your name. Said you might need backup. Marion didn't answer. Alesha took a breath. The complaint's not from animal control. It's from the precinct. Internal memo leaked. They're trying to get you discredited before the mayor calls you a hero. Still. No answer. Alesha softened. We've seen it before. Quiet women scare them more than loud ones, especially when the dogs are louder than the law. Marion finally moved. She opened the door wider. Come in. Meanwhile, in the shadows of local newsrooms, we just got word there's a sealed file on her service record. Pentagon-level redaction. She's not just some K-9 handler. She ever speak to the press? Never. Not once. Then why? Now? She didn't speak, the producer whispered. Her dogs did. At the police union meeting, we need to file a counter-narrative, one rep said. Issue a press release saying she refused to cooperate and that officers felt endangered. Endangered by what? Another officer asked. A calm woman with two sitting dogs? The room fell silent. The rep adjusted his tie. Perception is everything. Back at Marion's place, Alesha scanned her living room. Neatly stacked boxes. Labeled deployment files, medals tucked behind photo frames. Leashes folded like ceremonial flags. You kept it all, she murmured. I never put it on display, Marion said. Why not? Marion's voice dropped. Because I didn't want to have to. The two dogs lay nearby. One shifted slightly, sensing her change in breath. Alacia looked at them. What are their names? Marion smiled faintly. Valor and Proof. Ah, beat. That's poetic. No, Marion said, looking out the window. That's survival. The flyer was simple. No bold fonts. No hashtags. Just a date, a location, and 3 words. K9 unit demonstration by invitation only. Beneath it, LT Marion J. Brooks, Ret. Saturday morning. The air hung heavy over the Veterans Memorial lawn. Rows of folding chairs lined up neatly under the sun. No stage, no podium. Just an open field and a crate of training gear beside a flagpole. By 9 a.m. Every seat was filled. Veterans, counselors, 2 city council members, the cafe owner, and 3 uniformed officers including Blevins and Waller. They sat stiffly. No one greeted them. The mayor arrived last. Quiet, no press around her. Just her eyes watching everything. Then Marion stepped forward. Same black ball cap. Same calm eyes. The 2 German shepherds walked at her side in perfect unison. She didn't speak. She just pointed. The dogs sat, pointed again. They laid down. Completely still. Another gesture. They rose, circled her once, and returned to formation. No leash. No bark. A subtle flick of her fingers, and both dogs moved in opposite directions, weaving through colored cones in a perfect mirror pattern. A whisper rippled through the crowd. Someone near the front murmured, "That's elite military." Code work? Marion still hadn't said a word. Then she stepped back, nodded toward a man holding protective gear. A veteran in full bite suit stood, ready. Marion pointed again. Both dogs bolted forward faster than eyes could track, then stopped exactly 1 foot from impact. No teeth, no sound, just pure restraint. The mayor stood up. Even the officers flinched. Then Marion raised her voice. Once, Valor, Proof, stand down. The dogs turned instantly and walked calmly back to her side. Only then did Marion speak fully. This is what discipline looks like. She turned to the audience. This is what composure under pressure looks like. Then, without turning, she added, this is what you feared on a sidewalk. Silence. She faced the uniformed officers now. Your fear wasn't about safety. It was about not being the one in control. Blevins looked away. Waller's jaw clenched. I've commanded these dogs through mortar fire, she said. IED sites, evacuations, civilian extractions. You think a city sidewalk scares them? She let the words hang. Then she stepped back. Any questions? A young girl in the front raised her hand. What do their names mean? Marion looked down. Valor is what you need to walk into danger without knowing what's on the other side. Proof is what you leave behind. So nobody questions you again. The girl smiled. I want to train dogs too. Then train people first, Marion said. Dogs already know how to listen. A whisper began online within hours. She didn't make a speech. She made a statement. That wasn't a demo. That was a lesson. Clips from the event hit 2 million views by nightfall. One viral caption read, she spoke with her dogs and shut the whole city down. Back at the precinct, a different kind of silence filled the break room. Blevins sat watching the footage. He rewound it again. The moment the dogs stopped right before impact, that pause haunted him. Have you ever seen anything like that? Waller asked quietly. No, Blevins admitted. And that's what scares me. You're being accused of intentional intimidation with military-trained animals in a civilian space. The words came sharp from a city councilman's mouth. his tone a mix of caution and agenda. A packed hearing room watched from all sides. Cameras, reporters, voters, cops. Marion sat calmly at the front table. Dark blazer, simple earrings. No rank on display. Just two silent dogs at her feet. The same ones. Valor. Proof. Councilwoman Estrada leaned forward. Lieutenant Brooks, do you understand the complaint against you? I do. And your response? Marion didn't rush. She looked each member of the panel in the eye, then said, no civilian should be intimidated by peace, and no officer should be comfortable around injustice. A quiet ripple ran through the room. Councilman Reeves, former police captain, interrupted. Let's stay focused on the incident. You were asked to move. You did not comply. Marion leaned slightly forward. I was standing still. They moved. Your dogs showed signs of aggression. No, she cut in. They showed discipline. If my dogs had shown aggression, the story would be different. You'd be reading casualty reports. Someone in the gallery audibly exhaled. A city. Reporter typed frantically on her iPad. Discipline is not aggression, OT. Brooks fires back at panel. Reeves persisted. And yet, their posture alone caused panic. So did Rosa Parks' seat choice, Marion said coldly. Silence makes people nervous when they expect fear. Estrada hid a smirk. The mayor entered the room, quietly stood in the back. Reeves held up a report. You were approached because you fit a description. I'm always fitting a description, Marion said, and you whispered a command that caused your dogs to react. She nodded. Yes, I said, watch, not attack, not engage, just watch. A long beat, because I've learned in this country sometimes the only power we have is what we watch. And who we let see us watching. Estrada spoke now. Lieutenant Brooks, were you attempting to send a message that day? Marion turned to face the entire room. No. She stood slowly. But I'll send one now. The dogs rose too wordlessly. They say I intimidated two armed officers. If that's true, then that fear wasn't caused by me. It was caused by what I represented. And what is that? Estrada asked, voice softer now. Marion stepped into the silence. A black woman who didn't flinch, who didn't shout, who didn't kneel, and still didn't lose. Outside the chamber, the hallway was flooded with press. Dozens of smartphones streamed live. A young man with dreadlocks whispered, she didn't raise her voice once. Another posted, LT Marion Brooks turned city hearing into masterclass on control. Later that night, on cable news, she never barked back, but the system heard her loud and clear. This wasn't just about dogs. It was about dignity. Back in the precinct, Blevins stared at the flat screen. He didn't speak. Didn't blink. Until the final clip played again. Marion standing. Dogs. Still. Voice clear. I didn't intimidate. Them, their own bias did. And suddenly, no one in the room had anything left to say. The TV anchor raised an eyebrow. Joining us now is retired Master Sergeant Hank. Delaney Fallujah deployment, Silver Star recipient, 23 years in the Corps. You've come forward to speak about LT Marion Brooks. The camera cut to a wide-shouldered white man in an old Marine dress coat. His eyes steady. He didn't blink. I didn't come to speak about her, he said. I came to tell you she led me. The anchor hesitated. You served under her? Delaney nodded. She was my superior in Iraq. K-9 Division, 2nd Battalion. I watched her walk through sniper zones with those same dogs, no backup. And when I froze under fire, she pulled me out, twice. The anchor blinked. So the woman accused of intimidation once saved your life? Not once, Delaney said. Twice. Within the hour, the clip went viral. White Marine, says he. Froze under fire. Black woman let him out. This country decorated him. He says she deserved more. The dogs didn't just save her, they saved us. By morning, hashtags flooded timelines. Hashtag she led us to, hashtag proof and valor, hashtag salute LT Brooks outside Marion's building. A quiet surprise waited. A group of former military handlers stood at attention, in uniform, black, white, Latino, Asian, women and men. All ages. One carried a hand-lettered sign, "We stand with our commander." Another, "She taught me how to speak soft and still lead loud." And in front, Master SGT Delaney himself. Marion opened the door, surprised. Delaney gave a crisp salute. She didn't return a ... she simply nodded. That was enough. That evening, at a televised Veterans Roundtable, a reporter asked Delaney, "Why come forward now?" He didn't hesitate, because they called her intimidating for doing what we trained to do: assess, protect, neutralize risk. He pointed at the screen. Footage of the cafe moment played. She didn't touch a weapon. She didn't raise her voice. She told her dogs to watch. And they obeyed like Marines. The anchor asked, "Do you think this is about race?" Delaney stared him down. "I think if her name was Mark, not Marion, and she wore a buzz cut instead of a braid, those cops would have asked for her autograph, not her ID." At the cafe, business doubled. Locals whispered every time she walked in. Kids dropped off drawings, little sketches of dogs wearing medals, saluting beside their handler. One read, "You make me feel safe." She pinned it to her fridge, said, "Nothing." Meanwhile, in the mayor's office, "She's becoming a symbol," one aide said, "not just for veterans. For every woman who got called aggressive just for standing still." The mayor replied, "Good. Maybe now people will start listening without needing a headline first." Back at the precinct, Waller tossed his pen down. "She's got everyone behind her now. We're just waiting for the shoe to drop." Reeves shook his head. The shoe already dropped. You just didn't hear it land. That night, Marion stood on her balcony. Valor lay stretched at her feet. Proof sat facing the door, still alert, always watching. The wind picked up slightly. She looked out at the horizon. Then whispered, "Let them come." The dogs didn't bark. They didn't need to. They'd already spoken. This just in. The city of Atlanta has officially passed a new canine engagement ethics policy, nicknamed by reporters as the Marion Protocol. The anchor's voice carried weight. Behind him, footage played, Marion walking calmly past the cafe, her dogs in formation. No leash, no threat, just power and stillness. Across the country, changes echoed. In a university criminal justice classroom. This week's case study is the Brooks incident. Can anyone explain why the phrase "watch" became a symbol? A hand rose because it wasn't just about dogs. It was about perception. She didn't attack. She didn't defend. She just watched and let them unravel themselves. The professor smiled. Exactly. That's the core of passive authority, and now it's part of our curriculum. In a high school civics class in Chicago, she didn't protest. She didn't riot. The student read aloud from their paper. She didn't even speak until they forced her to. And still, she sparked a policy change. Their teacher nodded. What's that called? Structural disruption through dignity. Meanwhile, a major law enforcement conference in Dallas unveiled a surprise update. All K-9 units now required to undergo civilian behavior response training, modeled after LT Marion Brooks's team. An officer at the conference shook his head. She trained those dogs tighter than most of us train our minds. On Capitol Hill, a new bill was drafted. The Brooks Civilian Rights and Public Spaces Act ensures citizens with military service animals cannot be stopped without cause. protects against unjust intimidation charges, and preserves dignity in public. Handling cases. Marion hadn't lobbied. She hadn't given a speech. Her silence had rewritten the law. A museum in D.C. contacted her quietly. "We'd like to feature valor and proof in our American Veterans exhibit." "Not as mascots, as heroes," Marion replied in 9 words. "Only if their training is respected, not staged." Back at the cafe, the owner added a new item to the chalkboard menu. The Valor Blend, dark roast, no cream, stands alone. Below it, a paw print. No one questioned it. At a memorial event for fallen K-9 units, a white handler gave a toast. 2. Those who obey without question, watch without hate, and defend without ego. May we learn from them, and they're humans too. He raised his glass toward Marion, seated near the back. She didn't wave. She didn't stand. She just nodded. Meanwhile, children across cities started a new trend. Plastic dog toys, makeshift leashes, a black baseball cap. They'd pretend to be Miss Marion and her war dogs. Parents smiled. Teachers watched. And one mom posted, "My daughter doesn't want to be a princess anymore. She wants to be a woman who never yells but wins." At her apartment, the letters poured in. "Thank you for showing me quiet is powerful. You saved me without ever meeting me. My son's learning your dog commands now." I used to bark back. "Now I watch first." Marion read each one asterisk. Folded them. Stacked them in a box labeled Proof. And in precincts nationwide, rookie officers were shown a video clip during onboarding. Not a shooting, not a chase, not a takedown, just a woman with 2 dogs standing still and 2 officers who backed away because they didn't know how to handle that kind of strength. She never served in Fallujah. Those dogs weren't even hers. Bronze Star? There's no public record. The headlines hit hard. Not from official sources, but worse, from anonymous blogs and blue-check echo chambers. Within hours, certain outlets picked up the noise. LT, Brooks, hero or hoax? The woman behind the dog's stolen valor? Veteran or viral liar? Twitter fractured. Some defended. Some doubted. Some demanded receipts. In a cable newsroom, I don't know. No combat footage, no interviews from her unit. She never gave interviews, the producer snapped. That was the whole point. She didn't need to. But if the story unravels, we'll look stupid. No, the producer muttered. They will. At her apartment, Marion read the headline once. Then again, she didn't speak. She opened a drawer, pulled out a single envelope, handwritten, sealed in red wax. She tapped it once, slid it into a FedEx envelope, and addressed it to one name, Major Hank Delaney. The next morning, a news clip spread like fire. Delaney, love. Stern. Holding up the sealed envelope. This was given to me 11 years ago in Iraq, he said. She told me to only use it if they ever tried to erase her. He opened it. Inside, copies of official deployment logs, 9, training certifications photos with unit members' commendation, letters signed by U.S. generals, and one faded picture of Marion in dusty camo, kneeling beside a wounded soldier, Delaney himself. He held that one up. She saved my life. She earned that medal. And she never asked to be called a hero. Y'all made her one, then turned around and tried to tear her down. The smear unraveled faster than it formed. Receipts dropped. Silence broken. Delaney confirms, LT. Brooks led the unit. That photo ends all debate. The original blogs vanished. The posts deleted. The accounts? Suddenly private. But the damage wasn't to Marion. It was to them. Meanwhile, an op-ed from a military historian went viral. This country has a habit of watching black women carry our burdens and then questioning if they really did. LT. Brooks showed restraint, not rage. And now we see why. because dignity can't be edited. At a small bookstore that had added canine training and trust to its shelves, a sign appeared in the window. We stand with truth and proof. A kid asked Marion in the park later that day, "Did it make you mad, what they said?" She looked down. "No." "Why not?" "Because I train for enemies louder than them." "And my dogs?" "They don't bark at echoes." Later that night, Alessia, her lawyer, brought the news. They're retracting. All of it. Even the mayor called. "You want to make a statement?" Marion shook her head. "I already did. 4 words. On a sidewalk. That was enough." Across the nation, the moment was sealed. Valor and proof trended again, but now it came with a subtitle, because truth doesn't need to yell. 5 years later, a bronze statue stood outside the Georgia State Capitol. Not of a soldier holding a rifle, not of a politician behind a podium, but of a black woman in a ball cap standing still, 2 dogs beside her. No leash. No weapons. Just presence. The plaque read, Alt. Marion J. Brooks. She didn't raise her voice. She raised the standard. Across the country, public schools held a moment of silence every March 9th, Proof and Valor Day. No assembly. No speeches. Just 1 minute of quiet watching. In canine training academies, rookies were required to watch the sidewalk clip before their first drill. One command always came first: watch. And every cadet knew where it came from. Marion never gave a TED Talk. She never wrote a book. But her story lived in the curriculum of every leadership course in the Navy, the Air Force, and West Point. The final lesson slide always said, "Calm isn't weakness. It's the highest form of command." And on one quiet Saturday, with the sun rising slow over Sweet Auburn, she walked again. Same route, same cafe corner. Valor and proof. Older now, moved slower, but still precise. No stairs this time. No whispers. No patrol cars shadowing the sidewalk. Just a nod from a passing mailman. "Morning, Lieutenant." She smiled faintly. "Morning." At the cafe, a girl waited with her father. She wore a baseball cap, too big for her head. Had a notebook tucked under her arm. When Marion passed, the girl whispered, "That's her." "She's the one." Marion paused, knelt down. The girl asked, "Is it true? They tried to stop you just for standing still?" Marion looked at her dogs, then back at the girl. "No, they stopped me because I didn't move the way they wanted." "Me too," the girl nodded. Scribbled it in her notebook. A young barista leaned out the cafe door. "We still got your table if you want it." Marion glanced at the old patio seat. "The same one from 5 years ago." She smiled. "Let someone else have it today." The 3 of them, woman and dogs, kept walking. They passed the courthouse. No crowd. No noise. Just a bronze statue out front now. A German shepherd mid-sit, muscles calm, gaze forward. Inscribed at the base, Proof watched, Valor waited. Marion never flinched. At home, she placed the dogs' harnesses neatly by the door, set 2 treats on the counter, then opened the blinds, and stood still. Proof sat quietly near her feet. Valor rested his head beside the front mat. Outside, the city pulsed like it always had, but inside, silence ruled. Not the heavy kind. Not the frightened kind. The earned kind. And somewhere, far off, a new officer gave their first canine command: watch. And the dog obeyed because the world had learned to.